One of the wonderful things about living in London is the astonishing art that is available to be seen here, most particularly throughout the trade. My name is Henry Howard-Sneyd and I'm chair of the board of Asian Art in London for this year of 2021. And this year is no exception. We have a number of wonderful pieces that have been voted for by the participants in terms of choosing the greatest or most attractive or most interesting work of art. And following are some trailers as to the pieces that have gone through to our voting process. We're supported in this exciting endeavour by two important publications, the Antiques Trade Gazette and Apollo magazine, and I wish to thank them both very much for that support.
Hello and welcome to the Asian Art in London 2021 Art Awards. I'm Sophie Kempson, the Programme Development Director. This year there are 4 awards, 2 for dealers and 2 for auction houses in East Asian and Indian and Islamic art. For the first award, I'll now hand you over to Matt Ball from the Antiques Trade Gazette.
Hi, I'm Matt Ball. I'm the Publishing Director at Antiques Trade Gazette. And at the Gazette, we're delighted to be partnering with Asian Art in London once again this year. Indeed, we've co-sponsored these awards every year since they began. This speaks to our long-standing relationship, but also to the success of the organisers in promoting Asian art and London as the hub for Asian art in the Western world. It's also been a pleasure to participate in the judging panel for the awards, to view the objects in person, and to discuss and debate their merits with other experts. And we would encourage everyone not to just visit the shortlist, but as many viewings and exhibitions as possible across the full festival of Asian Art in London. And we'd also encourage you to buy and bid for as many items as possible that pique your interest and fire your curiosity. And here are the 3 items on the shortlist for the Antiques Trade Gazette Award for an outstanding East Asian work of art from an auction house.
Hello, I'm Bill Forrest and I'm head of Asian Art at Rosebery's Auctioneers in London. I'm delighted to introduce you to our entry for Asian Art in London East Asian Most Outstanding Object. This Chinese porcelain moon flask, produced in the 18th century during the reign of Emperor Qianlong. It's painted with lotus scrolls to the front and back and dragons, sinuous dragons to the sides. The first thing that you might notice about it, that strikes me about it, is its imposing size. This is quite an important point, as due to its size and shape, many of these pots in the kiln collapsed under their own weight, so many didn't survive. This one, however, remarkably survived that quality control, that really particular quality control. So we think perhaps for 150 years this sat in various collections being traded up until the 1920s, when our collector, Maurice Collis, bought it from Rangoon. He was serving in Burma for the British administration and left Burma in the 1930s with this vase and his collection, where it remained up until it was consigned for auction. And so here it is, standing in front of us in all its majesty, in the most illustrious company, alongside shortlisted wonderful works of art. This vase, humbled by its majesty, now finally gets the recognition that it truly deserves.
Hello, my name is Yexue. I'm from Sworders Fine Art Auctioneers. I brought you here today. This little jade moon flask has been shortlisted for the Asian Art in London Annual Award. It's been carved on both sides with a blossoming tree above rocks, and the stone is this pure white color with a bit of mottled grey. We are confident to track its history back to 120 years ago, when the vendor's late great-grandfather acquired it in Beijing. And before then it was in an important private collection. And after that, it's been the same English private home ever since. It's going to be offered in our Asian art sale on 5th of November for 10 to 15,000 pounds.
Hello, my name is Asaph, Hyman. I'm head of Chinese art at Bonhams. And today I'll be speaking about a magnificent and very rare imperial Beijing enamel teapot. teapot has a 4-character Qianlong mark, and it is of the period 1736-1795. It comes from a very special collection, the Parry collection of Chinese art. And this collection was formed by E.A. Parry, who was a barrister, and his wife, Angela Ida Parry. Amazingly enough, the family kept many of the original invoices, and that really tells the story of the collection, from buying at Spink, as well as Gluitz and the other leading dealers of the day. The other element which is quite interesting is that of the collection, 6 pieces were chosen to be included in the most important exhibition of Chinese art in the West, the 1935-1936 exhibition at the Royal Academy of Arts in Redmond House. This teapot is truly unique in the sense that it is the only one remaining in private hand. The only 2 other that we know of are both in museum collections. The first in the National Palace Museum in Taiwan, and the second one is in the Nelson Atkins Museum. Very exciting research by Zhang Rong of the Palace Museum has unearthed a number of imperial decrees very early in the period. The first one mentions 2 Beijing enamel teapots which were made on the 5th year, in the 5th year of Qianlong in 1740. And the further one mentions 3 who are mentioned on the 3rd year of Qianlong. 1 which was the first one, and then 2 which were ordered to be made further to the first one. According to the research, we believe that the Parry one is indeed the first one made on the 3rd year of the Qianlong reign, and that makes it into a very exciting discovery for us.
Hello, I'm Fatema Ahmed and I'm the acting editor of Apollo magazine, and I'm delighted to say that this year we are once again sponsors of the Asian Art in London Art Award. Apollo was founded in 1925, and ever since then we've covered everything in the art world from antiquities to contemporary work. For many years we've been the sponsor of the Asian Art in London Art Awards, and we're delighted to do so this year again. And we're now going to take a look at the shortlist for the Apollo Award for an outstanding work of East Asian art from a dealer.
Hi, I'm Redmond. Welcome to Peter Finers. The theme of our exhibition this year is mythical beasts and worldly creatures. All are functional objects: a saddle, stirrups, helmet, shield, swords and daggers, and they are all decorated with some form of animal, either real or mythological. In this case, we see a 15th to 16th century Tibetan saddle. It has 10 beautiful little dragons flying through the elaborate gilt iron scrolls, likely depicting clouds. And unlike in Western culture, where the fire-breathing dragon is a vicious beast, in Eastern culture dragons are creatures of enlightenment. So these 10 dragons are here to protect the rider from the perils of his worldly life.
My name is Yexue and I'm presenting a bamboo piece for the Asian Art Award. This is made by Nakamura Tomonori, who was born in 1965. He's from Hokkaido. He only does objects, so more sculptural work rather than for use. This is made of bamboo. Bamboo is often used for flower baskets, for ikebana or flower arrangement. This particular piece we could view in different positions. This is a way of showing it. We can move it. And it actually gives us a little bit the impression it could be used for flowers, which I quite like about it. Yet I didn't think one would. And what I like about it is its sort of simplicity and abstractness. Tonomori is very interested in mathematics and geometry, which really shines through in this piece and in his other pieces.
I'm Giuseppe Eskenazi. I have been working for over 60 years and in Chinese art, which is in the family. And we've been in London since 1960. We have here lacquer head of a bodhisattva, which is quite monumental. As you can see, it's very large, it's hollow. And the way it would have been made, which is of interest to people who look at it, is in clay. And then over the clay, they put strips of lacquer. And then when the lacquer was dry, they removed the strips, and then the strips were dipped in lacquer. And this is how this is finished. After purchasing it, we realized that There are only 3 known examples anywhere in the world, and they are published in a 1930 book in Kyoto by Yamanaka. The other 2 heads, one of them I know for a fact because I wanted to mention it in our catalogue, belongs to somebody in the UK who's promised it to the British Museum, to a point where I couldn't mention the name, but we know it's going to the British Museum. So the great thing is that there will be one in England. The other one is on loan to a museum in America. So this is really the only one. As you can see, the eyes would have been made in glass, and the rest is just lacquer. It's a bodhisattva rather than a Buddha. The Buddha wouldn't have that hairstyle. And it was probably made for a temple and then finished up in 1930 with this company in Japan. It then came up in Tokyo in a minor auction. Nobody realized the importance. A lot of people thought it wasn't right, and it was sold in Hong Kong. We purchased it. We didn't know anything about its history, which we established. So we are very excited to have it.